you all. So for the next panel, which is Bridging the Talent Divide, Investing in Skills for Industry Excellence, we have Jainaressh from IMSK. Then we have Anand from BigFatPhoenix. We have Ganesh from Nila Apps and Kundavai from Eduzo. And the session is moderated by Harish from Outlier Games. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, so this panel is on bridging the talent divide, investing in skills for industry excellence, right? So what we are trying to understand today is what kind of talent needs are there in the industry, and what is the level of quality in talent that is out there, where is the gap, and how do we try to bridge it so that you guys are more employable. So just before we start, how many of you are freshers in the sense recent graduates or people from other industries trying to get into game industry? Okay, so this panel will be useful. So, okay.
So, just Chuma gone home.
Okay, so to start with, just to give a bit of a context before I hand it over to the speakers, what is the state of talent in India? Is it good or bad? It's a yes or no question. It's yes and a no. In the sense, yes, because we have a lot of youth who graduate from CSE, so they have computer science background. So we have that. And on the other side, people are not getting engineering jobs, right? So the game industry can tap into it. So from that angle, yes, there's a talent out there that we can tap into. And no, because there's a lot of designer-oriented, creativity-oriented, artistic-oriented skill sets that are bit missing in the market out there in terms of people who want to get into the industry. So with that out of the way, in a situation where it is both yes and no, we will move into getting some wisdom from these four individuals. So, starting with Jainaressh, my first question. So broadly, there are 6 roles in the game industry, right? We have a designer, game designer, we have an artist, we have a programmer, we have a technical artist, we have a producer, and we have a tester. So these are the 6 roles that people could pursue their career pathway if they want to come into the game industry. But the question is, how do a person go about identifying what intrinsic skills or mindsets that they already have, or skill sets that they have, that will make it a bit efficient for them to choose one of these pathways?
All right. So I'm going to try to answer this in a very layman perspective, right? Because you threw a lot of technical jargons saying these are the roles. Now the idea is for anybody, right, to say, all right, I've had the world's best biryani, right? You should have tasted at least 100 different biryanis. Right? Yeah. Now that holds true for pizza, sandwich, and also games development. For somebody to say whether you're good at it, you'll have to first have done it. Okay? See, I did not go through any formal education in gaming, but what I did have was, tidbits of what to do and how to do, and then it was doing it. So whether it doesn't matter whether you're a game designer or a game developer, until and unless you sit down, take the other guy's code, learn it, use it, function it. Because that's how you can even communicate with your peer in the same institution. If you choose to be an artist because you would have loved it much better than learning to code, but then if you can't sit with the coder and tell him this is what I want, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Right? So the simple answer is different types, but you learn everything first before, right, you make a choice and say this is what you want to do. So it's not like saying, okay, I don't want to learn chemistry. right? It's like you got to try it once before you say whether you like it or not.
Anand, do you want to take a stab at this? Some colorful thoughts.
So no, not at all. Actually, no thoughts. That's so it's like this, right? So broadly, yeah, I think what Jay said is spot on in terms of like if you haven't tried something, then how do you know you don't like it, right? Especially don't like it. Often we know what we like, but we don't know what we don't like. So I think that's pretty valuable in terms of just try. There's no harm in giving it a shot, right? With especially today when you guys are kind of starting out, the kind of resources available are practically infinite. You can go and do a short crash course on YouTube or somewhere on any of these disciplines for free for in a few hours. At least to that degree, you can try out and see if you're feeling it, right? It depends on where you are, but I mean, if you're the kid who's always been drawing, if you're the kid who's always been tinkering, if you're the kid who's been making up your own versions of cricket or your own games out of cards and toys and stuff like that, then you pretty much know that you're an artist or a designer. So there's no right answer to this, but I think the right answer, what's valuable in what Jay said is don't rule anything out before you've tried it.
Got it. So a follow-up to that. Okay, so let's say these people have identified a pathway and they're entering the industry. So where do you perceive the gaps to be in terms of both skills, but also in terms of mindset? For both freshers and also for associate to mid-level, where do you see the gaps generally being that they can perhaps plug?
See, the way I see it now is, I think what is there's a lot of passion. That's there. I can see it. There's a lot of people who really love it, who really want to be in games. So that is very much there. In terms of gaps, there are some gaps that I care about and there are some gaps that I don't care about. Let's talk about the gaps that I don't care about first. I don't care if you're not polished and you don't have skills. That's fine. If you have, somebody said, I think Roy said earlier in the day that we'll train the skills. We want the attitude and the passion and the fire, right? So I absolutely stand by that. But the gaps that I do care about, there are a couple of things that worry me in terms of the gaps that I see from the industry today. One is lack of initiative. If you're a game artist, where's your portfolio? Do something. Waiting to do something till I'm told or I'm asked for it is a huge red flag for me. Nobody asked me to, when you ask me, I'll do portfolio after that. You need to be ahead of that. If you're a game developer, you got to be making games, whether someone is asking you to make games or not. You're only a writer if you're writing. No one's paying you for it. You're a singer if you're always singing. It doesn't matter if someone's asked you to do it, right? And the same thing's true for game developers. You need to always be doing it. Not thinking about doing it, not talking about doing it, but doing it. I need to see initiative. Because initiative is free. It doesn't cost you anything to show initiative. That's one. And the second thing that worries me is entitlement. You got to earn your shot, people. You're not a fucking rock star. Okay? You know who's a rock star? Keith Richards is a fucking rock star. Taylor Swift is a rock star because she's gone out there. She makes music. Beyonce is a rock star. If you got some songs rattling around in your head which you think are good, you're not a rock star and you won't be treated like one. Okay? So that entitlement to me is a huge problem. You got to come in, prove it, make the music before you get the groupies. Sorry. Go on.
Got it. So with regards to the portfolio that you said, I think it might be valid to say if you're going to apply as a programmer, your portfolio should preferably be in a version control, like GitHub.
I don't know. I'm not a programmer. I'm like, mate, for you, if you have done some, I'll take you if you've tried to upload something anywhere. A broken version of Pong, I'll take it rather than the guy who says, I know how to make God of War better. Whether it's in GitHub, here, there, I'm not a programmer. I don't know. You should probably ask a programmer. But whatever is if I'm a designer, from a design standpoint, I don't expect you to have a game on itch.io, but at least I expect you to have some documents where you've made a game or some, even a Google Drive. Yeah. It's fine. It's okay.
Got it. So, Kundavai, coming to you. So, everyone, because at Eduzo you have tackled with personalized learning before, so I thought this question would be valid to you. It is true that there are certain archetypes in terms of how people learn, right? Different people learn in different ways. Different people understand in different ways, right? So when these aspiring set of individuals want to go and acquire some skills, some knowledge, what are some of the experience and wisdom that you have picked up at your time during Eduzo that you could help these people with in terms of how do they identify the personalized learning track that they can tap into so that they could get the skills and knowledge that they want?
Hi, I'm
Hope
Kundavai.
that question was relevant.
Yeah, it is. Hi, I'm Kundavai, founder of Eduzo. So, I believe there are certain aspects which are common to learn anything, not just in gaming. So, I would love to share a few ideas which we researched a lot about to help kids learn their curriculum. So, basically, what happens in our brain is each one of us have a schema, right? So imagine it's like a game level thing that's in your brain, and when you don't understand a particular concept, right, there is literally a block which will not allow you to travel through that path connected to that. So let's say you are a programmer, and if you have some fundamental logic block in your head, it's going to block you in a lot of paths which otherwise you can take, right? So you have to honestly understand what is your schema, where you are at, what are your mental blocks, and how can you relearn, right? Like going to the scratch, probably learn mathematics, learn logics, and come back and approach it in a new way. That's one thing about schema. The other one is exposure. I think that's huge, right? I personally believe Steve Jobs, the famous quote, right? There is one step between dreaming and executing, which is asking. So ask, you don't have to connect to somebody whom you could not relate with. Someone just few steps ahead of you, where you want to be, just ask their help. And try to understand their journey, their learnings. You might not want to pick the same thing, but asking really helps. Like literally, even in this panel, I seeked help from many, all of them to be here, to even try something. So asking and become that person first, and then again see where do you want to go further. So that's another thing. And as Anand rightly mentioned, that cognitive dissonance exists, right? Right, what you are in the real world and what you are in the head, there is a mismatch for few people. So that should not be there. So once we are humble to and have the desire to learn, we will always make sure that we keep learning and growing, and there is something to learn further and become better. Yeah.
Got it. So Ganesh, so this one's for you. So you're a person who has significant insight into many skill development initiatives that are happening across the country, both at a government level as well as the private. So in that time span where you have seen all these initiatives, could you help these people understand which of these initiatives that they can tap into, which of the learning platforms that they can, or training platforms that they can tap into to gain these game development skill sets that importantly gets them industry ready and employable? So any insights on that?
Thank you. Okay, am I audible? Okay, fine. I don't wish to recommend any platforms for this, okay. Now, going back to your introduction part of it, where we were talking about India is a country poised with so much of population and is there a youth available. If I look at the entire engineering space, at least about 60+% of them are students who are opted for computer science education. Out of the 60% of them, are 60 plus more than that, if you go and do a dipstick survey on how many of them actually have opted computer science because they were passionate about it. Okay, because they were passionate about it. If you ask them the question, The starking revolution is that it's more than 70% of them say that they have opted computer science because of the peer pressure, parental pressure and things. It's not out of interest. What is that they are interested in? You will have a wide variety of choices that come in, and significantly I have seen there is 3 things that emerge. Most of them is that I wanted to become a filmmaker. Okay, I wanted to be a game developer, or I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Okay, what in entrepreneurship? That's a different thing to be. Okay, so this is what I largely see among the crowd of the youth population. Now that gives an edge that we have a large population available to get into the gaming industry, unfortunately. Okay, in fact, me and Anand used to discuss about this couple of times. They are not being channelized to this particular industry. They are not aware of this industry and what is the scope. They wanted to be in the gaming space, but how, what, and all those things is not there. So there needs to be a larger effort in terms of evangelizing how the industry works. A conference like this, I'm not sure how many of them even aware of it. Okay, it has to go into a larger forum where people are aware of these efforts. Now, coming to the question on the platform or efforts, skilling efforts from the government side, though there is a sector skill council which is formed way long back for media and entertainment related thing, okay, I think the focus, the initial days and the larger portion of it was on the media side. Okay, off late, I've been seeing in company. I see
Few hesitant hands.
Yeah.
I think we scared them off. I think the VC panel might have scared them off.
Okay. So what I have come across is that when I ask this question among those people who are aspiring to be game developers, okay, most of them want to be an entrepreneur. Okay. They wanted to start learning, working with people like Anand, and then after some period of time, they will move away and start something to compete with Anand. Okay. So this is how the industry has been evolving, and that's not a bad sign at all. Okay, that brings in more and more things to the market as such. So beyond those technical skills, there are several other skills which have to be learned, and I'm sure that not many institutions teach that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something which you need to acquire and practice. So I don't have one solution or one platform where I can recommend this is where you can go and learn and acquire the skills, or this is one credible institution where you can get a certification and you are ready to go into the industry. Now, even if you are a pass out from IIT, wherein we know that this year wherein we are talking about, 1/3 of the IITians are not employable. Okay. It's not about employment. It's about unemployment or element of employability that is available. Even 1/3 at IITs are not. So is that the gold standard? No. So it's all about how you try to acquire some basic skills and then get into practicing it and work with organizations. Learn out of that. And then probably you're groomed enough to go in. So there is no such one platform where I can recommend it. Okay.
Got it. Yeah. So this question, anyone can pick it up and answer. So obviously, there's no one platform, right? And I see a large part of the reason for that is the first generation of game developers are still working in India. So in countries that have like really mature and advanced gaming syllabus, there have been multiple generations. They retired and then they came to teach games, which is not the situation in India, right? We are still working. Me, Anand, Jay, everybody. So in a setup like this, obviously these people are not going to like just leave their high-paying job and come and do lecturing. So, but still these experts can contribute a lot towards development of talent. So in this kind of a paradigm, how would you propose knowledge dispersal can be done? Any
So,
thoughts?
Luckily for us, in the way the world is today, information can be disseminated much quicker. Right? You can get, like, while I may not be able to go and teach full time, or you may not be able to go and teach full time in a university, we can certainly show up and record classes for them, for instance, or show up on Zoom calls once a week and mentor folks. There are many ways in which to filter it. And the advantage is there are a large number of us who are available and willing to do it. Like everybody here, I know that every developer here is more than happy to spend a couple of hours a month to mentor students. Nobody will say no, right? So what I feel like how educational initiatives need to kind of adapt is to not look at a pre-internet teaching method, which a lot of these teaching methods are still legacy methods, which were evolved because the internet didn't exist then. But guess what? It exists now. So we should be using it, right? Instead of leaning on legacy systems that were developed to get around a specific constraint, which does not exist today. So I feel like it's very doable to tap in. What is it? It's not like we are some gods who are going to impart some skills due to proximity to us. We have experience we can share. We have mentoring we can do. We have confidence that we can share. We can give encouragement and inspiration. That can be done easily now by just using technology and available things to be able to disseminate that information. The learning and the teaching itself is just available, and students are smart enough to be able to figure that out without having a teacher explain to them, right? It's more doubt clearing, and it's a lot of that. So I firmly believe in, if an educational institution had the will to do this today, they could implement a course like that within a year.
You mean to say professor of practice, something like that?
I'm not sure about the educational institution terms. I am not being formally educated myself and having spent minimal time in educational institutions. I don't know. But yeah, something like that, right? Just tip into the industry and we can help. We're more than happy to share our knowledge, offer internships, guest lectures. I don't know, man, whatever. But it's certainly possible to tap into that expertise and help educational institutions deliver that to their students.
Got it.
See, I think, more than education institutions, it's also how people are receptive of the practices. As an experiment, right? When IMSK started, for 1 year we had around 12, like every month, right? There was some volunteer from the industry with us who was dissipating knowledge. Like, okay, let's do an NPR shading. Let's do it as like they were just putting out what they know about, right? We had 12 different people come down and talk and say, this is what we are doing, right? But after 12, it was very tiring for us because ultimately, like you said, we had to balance.
Yeah.
Right? So we lost a few of the volunteers because they moved on to a different job and they run. So right now we are still hunting for volunteers to run the IMSK side of things. But what we have understood is colleges, the UGC, right, and the skilling ecosystem is all completely in a very drastic change. Like, sometimes we feel bad that COVID hit us, but these are the things that I'm thinking it's good. Because now, like you mentioned, it could be professor of practice, it could be like you don't have to get a complete UGC approval to have one paper that could focus on this particular element of subject, right? So there are a lot of new ammunitions for the universities and the institutions to dispatch. It is just that they are themselves experimenting, so it's a time where we can recommend people of what to do, and they are very receptive of things. So I'm thinking, yeah, they're far more receptive to compare to what it was before 2019.
Basically, they want to make money. They know that students want game development, so they're like, hey, yes, thank you very much, which is fine, works for us, right?
So it's a fascination. The fascination is still there. It is just the right positioning, I should say, right?
Got it.
Yeah, just to add to what they said, the university education pattern or system that is prevailing when the rigid government practices still are, seems to be standing rigid, but of course there are a lot of private universities and autonomous institutions which are very receptive to all this kind of changes. Okay, one major shift that they need to look at it is that you can't approach this in the way the other subjects are being dealt and addressed. Okay, so as you said, professor of practice, you may not get a professor who comes every day and have a proper schedule of timetable and
Fully
coming
right
and
in
giving a
Blackboard on
lecture.
game design. Yeah.
So those things doesn't work at all here. Okay, so it has to have a major shift, and probably that's something which still the government system is yet to accept it and go on. It could take little more time for them. But yes, other private institutions and universities have started embracing, but with their own reservations on that too.
Got it.
So I have a different perspective take on this. I believe knowledge is everywhere. There are a lot of free courses. Just sit with ChatGPT. What else you want, right? Like education, mostly it's free. What is lacking is challenges, desire, right? Like take a average college student. Look at their portfolio. Is there any direction towards it? Mostly no, right? It's random, something which they wanted to build or, right? I genuinely wish there is a platform like Kaggle. I'm not sure how many of you heard about the platform Kaggle. It's like all the industry leaders or anybody, any companies can post their problems there in one platform with a grant or some cash prize, right? Anybody can go there, take that challenge, solve it, and if that particular company is taking that challenge, right, they will reward that particular candidate. If something like that exists, right, these students would have some direction, some early incentives to solve those challenges. And I mostly believe that somebody who have the desire to solve their own problems, right, learning to learn, teach themselves, can make use of this. So that's my take.
I didn't know that existed.
It's largely about problem-solving skills that needs to be addressed among them.
Yeah. Like the point that you mentioned about tools, and I relate with it a lot. Because over here, the courses, they focus way too heavily on the tools than on processes, than on the mindset, than on the creativity. So yeah, I relate with that. So as a last question, this for the entire panel. So in game industry, typically we don't bother what's your percentile, what's your mark, whether you graduated or not even sometimes. What matters most is what's your portfolio? Is it relevant? Is it consistent? Is it good? So in that thought burger, what would be your advice to these set of people on how to build a better portfolio so that it represents them correctly? Anyone?
So, advice on building a portfolio is, firstly, just build one. So like, don't show up without a portfolio, guys. That's just lame. Try different things, different challenges. It's okay if I were interviewing someone for game design and you took a interesting challenge and you weren't able to solve it, that's okay. That's actually great. And if you can come and tell me that I was not able to solve it because of this, that would actually be like, that would be a, oh my God, this candidate is kind of interesting to me, right? Take up hard challenges, try them. If you have a portfolio of kind of different things you've tried and succeeded or failed to various degrees, that's actually extremely valuable. What I want to see from a portfolio is not, for a design portfolio, I speak. For art, it can be different. For art, typically you need good art quality in your portfolio at that level, and you need to speak to an art director to get that. But for a designer or even for a developer, the portfolio that you show needs to show that you have that passion, you've tried cool things. I need to know that I want to feel the love. You know, I need to feel the love. I need to feel like you showed up there. I need to feel like I'm going to enjoy working with this person. That's what I want. This is going to be fun. This person is going to be fun. Because they're asking right questions. They're like coming at it with some smart challenge. They're coming at it with some energy I need to feel. It's not about the quality of your portfolio. I mean, if there's a high quality portfolio and that person is an asshole, I'm not going to hire them. Okay? I don't care about your goddamn portfolio. I care about, are you bringing the right energy into the room? Right? Do I think you're going to be a good teammate? Do I think we're going to enjoy solving problems together? And that's the way that I would, look for it. I'm looking for your portfolio as a window into the way that you approach things. Not the portfolio. Your portfolio is not an exam submission. It's not an exam submission. It's just a way of me learning more about the way that you work. And that's what's important to me when I look at it, right? So make your portfolio interesting, and the excitement with which you present it and talk about it and go into the details of it, that's what would be important to me.
So if I have to condense it, I could say the process over outcome. Could I put it that way?
Yeah, and the visible process and how you can talk about the process. I mean, if you kind of overdo it like, Museum of Modern Art, chumma or pulli vechite, this is my game design. And then talk, actually the dot is Kratos. You can't, don't bullshit. But there needs to be some visible outcome also. It's not entirely about like, yes, but with the caveat of no bullshit,
Yeah. Of course, goes without
See,
saying.
I think it's not a free for all, right? But at the same time, what I would like to see is, some realizations also, right? Because the crucial point Anand mentioned is, yeah, you are happy to fail in the project, that's fine, but did you realize why did you fail? Right? And if that person is saying, okay, I've taken 20 projects, I failed in all, and he's very happy about it, I don't think that is also the right choice to be going with. So the point is the realization, where you're able to understand your milestones, progress towards it, okay, the process to it, and then finally, the whole process. Like what he mentioned about art portfolio.
It also depends on the complexity of the project, right? If you picked up like, I want to make a palindrome program and you failed at that, that's a problem. But if you picked up something like a strong design challenge and failed at that, that's okay.
So that's what I meant, realization, right? Like in art, you say, okay, I tried to create a character, ended up with a 4-leg creature.
Got it. Got it.
Harish, this is just a creative industry, and we
Yes.
talk about creativity that needs to be brought in. Okay, so your portfolio has to speak about that creative element in terms of it. It's not just about a typical resume being built and you try to cut, copy, paste, and try
Yeah,
to build
correct. I was recently giving somebody advice on their resume in the game development industry. I think they might be in this room. In that, just if you've shipped games, just put that first. It's not a TCS resume, guys. It's not like, I worked in this company for so long, then I worked in that company. You can do that. But if you have a shipped game, just put it out there first. This is my game. This is what I did on the game. This is game 2. This is what I did on the game. Game 3, this is what I did. Then go into it, right? Get to it's a creative portfolio driven, it's a creative industry. It's not about, how long did you work where. It's about what are the cool things you did. That's what I want to see first.
Got it. So, just last question, because we are out of time. Any quick takeaways and thoughts that you want to give in terms of how to get into the game industry?
Start.
Start.
Yeah,
Everybody will
press
say
start.
that one. I
Do.
think he answered the question
Just
for all
do.
of us.
Yeah, like, people, get in, start. Then ask questions.
Yeah, start and don't give up. That's it. It's just 2 things. Start making stuff, don't give up.
So I would say first give before thinking what you have to take from them, right? So approach a company, try to give. Even if you're figuring out, that's okay. Just ask them a chance. Can I do this for a month? And then let's talk about anything later, right? So nobody is going to say a no to that. So try to give before taking, and always give more. It will come back to you.
And even from, not just from a company standpoint, the community standpoint, right? It's really important. Engage with the community. Help each other. You may not be able to make a game on your own, but you can damn well find a team on Discord, right? You can do that today. Help each other. Give freely. Help. And then you'll just find, like magic, if you found 2 people and you're making a game, guess what? You're a game developer. All right? And that's how you become one.
Yeah. So I would say that you need to focus more on your creative skills. Don't be much bothered about your technical skills. That's something which you can acquire easily over a period of time.
Okay, cool. So that's a wrap. And all of us will be just here outside. So I'm also a game mentor. So if you want to come and hit us up and ask some questions and clarify. We don't have time for Q&A, but happy to take your questions outside. So thanks for this.
I have a last thing
Okay,
to say.
1 second.
So we are hiring interns. So you can see my name. You can reach out to me over LinkedIn. So I would highly appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, you
Eduzo
can't
is the
use
company.
it as a recruitment platform. Just putting it out there, but that's okay. It's done. Mic drop. It's bounced.